Broncos country? How are we doing? I know it's been a while. I'm sorry I got busy with my schoolwork, college. I'm in my junior year. It's been a grind, but we're back, and today I'm going to be going over my next 7-round mock draft for the Denver Broncos. Of course, you guys know that the draft is my favorite days of the year, all 3 days, and I do scouting. I scout the tapes on all of these guys. I do my own scouting. So I do put some work into this. So if you could leave a like and subscribe, that'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. As always, I want to remind you that Jesus is King. I pray that you give your life to him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you. And I just truly hope that you find Jesus, accept him as your Lord and Savior, and believe with your whole heart that he died for your sins on the cross. And if you truly believe that, then you'll go to heaven. It's that simple. It's my message I like to share before every video. I feel like it's important as a Christian. And let's jump into this mock draft. You guys already know Daniel Faalele, one of my favorite players in this whole draft. I have the Broncos selecting him at 64. Before the combine, I had him as a late first round, early second round pick. Didn't have the greatest showing at the combine, and he started to slip down some draft boards. And if he's still here at 64 for the Broncos, this is an instant grab. I know we have guys like Tom Compton, Billy Turner, and Calvin Anderson fighting for that right tackle 1 spot. But Calvin Anderson is on a 1-year deal. Tom Compton is on a 1-year deal. Billy Turner is on a 1-year deal. All expiring after this season. So I say look to the future. Draft Daniel Faalele. Let him sit and develop because he does need to work on his technique. But his size and athleticism are just not teachable. And that is a great combination. So if you let him develop those pass blocking skills, that would be huge. My favorite tackle here for the Broncos. All of our tackles, like I said, on 1-year deals, so this would be perfect to have him sit, develop, and learn the tackle position because pure strength won't win in the NFL, but having Daniel Faalele learn behind veteran tackles, maybe behind Garrett Bowles even, and Butch Berry, a great offensive line coach, I think that would do wonders for Daniel Faalele, and he would be a great pick for the Broncos at 64. At the 75th pick, I had the Broncos selecting Myjai Sanders, edge rusher out of Cincinnati. I know a lot of people might be a little bit lower on Myjai Sanders than I am, but I think that Myjai is a truly, truly good talent. With Randy Gregory, he's got a lot of upside, of course, and I do think he'll be a solid edge rusher for us, but just in case that doesn't develop, in case Chubb continues to deal with injuries, maybe we don't bring Chubb back after the season. I want to look to the future of getting an edge rusher, and I really like the talent of Myjai Sanders. Around week 5 of the NFL season, in that college football time, I had Myjai Sanders as the 3rd best edge rusher behind Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau. Of course, he didn't have the greatest finish towards the season, so he's kind of fallen down to this 3rd round range. But I think he's got a lot of talent and upside. He's got a quick first step to get off the line of scrimmage. He knows how to use his length to bend around edge defenders and go and get the sack. I think that Myjai Sanders would be a solid addition to the Broncos. And we need to add another edge rusher to this room, whether this be in the 3rd round, if they like a guy in the 2nd round, or in the 4th round. Sometime in the draft, I do think the Broncos will address an edge rusher. And, of course, Myjai Sanders at Cincinnati had 61 solo tackles, 58 assist tackles, 119 total tackles, 24.5 tackles for loss, and 13.5 sacks during his time at Cincinnati. At pick number 96, this is another one of my favorite players in the entire draft. Probably my favorite player in the entire draft that is obtainable for the Broncos. Someone that the Broncos can get with our available picks. Obviously, 64 being our first pick in the draft. I love Alontae Taylor. I think he will be a very, very, very good cornerback in this league. He is a cornerback that can not only... He reads the quarterback's eyes and jumps the routes. He's a hard-hitting safety. He's a hard-hitting cornerback. He's not afraid to tackle and wrap up, which is something you want in your cornerbacks. Like you said, he's very physical, going to read the quarterback's eyes. He's very good in both man and zone coverage. I think this guy, he does need to develop. I will be honest. I do think Alontae Taylor needs to develop. Maybe sit a year or two. We still got Ronald Darby, Michael Ojemudia, Pat Surtain, obviously. Learn behind those guys, and I think after potentially this season, maybe 2 seasons, he will eventually be the number 2 corner across from Patrick Surtain. Christian Parker, our DB's coach, is one of the best in the business. I think if he can coach Alontae Taylor up, he can be a solid cornerback number 2 for us. I think we could have 2 CB1s technically with Patrick Surtain and Alontae Taylor with the right coach. And this is one of my favorite players in the whole draft. I would say if I had to choose between Daniel Faalele and Alontae Taylor on which one I want, you guys know I love Daniel Faalele, but I would have to lean towards Alontae Taylor on this one. At Tennessee, he had 115 solo tackles, 47 assist tackles for 162 total tackles. He had 5 tackles for loss, half a sack, 4 interceptions, and one of them was a pick 6, which was against Kentucky this year. Alontae Taylor, one of my favorite players in the draft for the Broncos to get, and this is one of the players I will be crossing my fingers at the Broncos draft on day 2 of the NFL draft. With the 115th pick in the 4th round, I have the Broncos selecting Brandon Smith, linebacker out of Penn State. The Broncos linebacker core has decreased. When you think about who we had on the roster last year and some practice squad guys, we had Alexander Johnson, Josie Jewell, Kenny Young, Baron Browning, Justin Sternad, Jonas Griffith, Natras Patrick, and 6 guys were free agents this season. Jonas Griffith, Natras Patrick, Micah Kaiser, Josie Jewell, Kenny Young, and Alexander Johnson. And out of all those guys, 2 came back. Jonas Griffith, who I think is a really good young guy. He was an exclusive rights free agent. Great special teamer. Really filled in solid for us. And Josie Jewell, who's that hard-hitting, thumping safety who's not afraid to tackle and is going to help in the run game. So to me, we need to address that position a little bit more. I like Baron Browning, but currently we're going to be testing him out as an outside linebacker and an edge rusher to rush the passer, which I'm excited about. Those were his strengths coming out of college. He's still developing in coverage, so I don't mind seeing him get a shot at edge rusher. And then, Justin Sternad wasn't the greatest. I really like Jonas Griffith when he got a chance to play, Josie Jewell, and of course Alex Singleton, who we signed in free agency. But I would like to get a younger guy. I believe Alex Singleton is on a 1-year deal, maybe a little bit longer, but from what I believe, he's on a 1-year deal. I would like the Broncos to draft Brandon Smith. I think he's a very solid player out of Penn State and someone who can develop into a solid linebacker for us. And I do think we go linebacker at some point in the draft. I would say within the first 3 rounds that we have picked. So the 2nd, the 3rd, or the 4th round. I like Brandon Smith out of Penn State. He's fallen a little bit down the draft boards, but I still think he's a solid player. He had 68 solo tackles, 64 assist tackles, 132 total tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and an interception. He's good at getting to the passer and helping in the run game. Needs to work on his coverage skills a little bit, I would say, but, he's still a solid linebacker nonetheless. And then back-to-back picks. At 116, we're going Mykael Wright, cornerback out of Oregon. This is another one of my favorite prospects, Mykael Wright. And I just have us beefing up that corner room because you can never have too much corners. If you remember back to 2 seasons ago when we got dwindled down at that position, I think getting as much corners as we can won't hurt. I like Mykael Wright. I think he can develop as a slot corner behind K'Waun Williams. I love Mykael Wright out of Oregon. At one point he was one of my favorite prospects. He still is, but Alontae Taylor has definitely jumped him as my favorite cornerback prospect for the Broncos to draft this year. I still like Mykael Wright, and he was the best player available at this position. And George Paton even said last year, you go BPA here on day 3 because it helps out your team long term. Mykael Wright is a very solid cornerback out of Oregon, best player available, and one of my favorite ones, so I decided to take him here. He had 80 solo tackles, 33 assist tackles, 113 total tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and he defended 17 passes during his time at Oregon. In the 5th round, I have us selecting Chigoziem Okonkwo, tight end out of Maryland. This is one of those athletic freak tight ends. He ran a 4.52, I believe, at the combine. Yeah, he's one of those athletic tight ends. He had a great 40, great combine. And I remember this move back in 2020 when we had Noah Fant, and in the 4th round, we selected Albert Okwuegbunam. Well, we traded away Noah Fant, Alberto Cuebanam's the starter, but we like to run those 2 tight end packages sometimes, and having a Okonkwo won't be terrible because you don't want Eric Tomlinson to be that second tight end in those packages. Get a Okonkwo. He is a very, very solid tight end. I think he would be very, very solid. One of those guys who I think you can get in the 5th round. He could go a little earlier with his speed and athleticism, but if he's here at 5, I think the Broncos got to address the tight end position. Take a backup for Alberto in case he gets hurt, which he dealt with last year. I think this would be a solid pickup for us. 77 receptions for 717 yards, a 9.3 average yards per play, and 8 touchdowns during his time at Maryland. In the 6th round, pick 206, I have the Broncos selecting Tariq Carpenter, safety out of Georgia Tech. Now, to me, I do think the Broncos should add a safety to our room, or our safety room. I'm trying to think. I thought we might have signed a safety, but I don't think we've actually. Yes, we did. We signed J.R. Reed on a 1-year deal. So he's still on a 1-year deal, like I said. Then you got Justin Simmons and Caden Stearns as the starting safeties as of now. Then you have Jamar Johnson, a 4th-round pick last year. You have, what's his name? P.J. Locke as another backup. I think adding another safety to that room won't hurt. I think you need maybe 5. You don't want one to go down, then you only have 3 safeties in that room. I think Tariq Carpenter, who is someone who can play both strong and free safety if you needed to. And during his time at Georgia Tech, he had 104 solo tackles, 69 assist tackles for a total of 223 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and he had 17 passes defended. And in the 7th round, I've probably had it for my past, 2-3 mock drafts, but it's Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. He is not the greatest wide receiver in the world. He's still got a lot to work on, his route running. But the main thing is he has got speed and a ton of it. He ran a very fast 40. A lot of people thought it was the fastest 40 in combine history. It's not. And so that could shoot him up the board, and he could go a lot earlier, which, a lot of teams like speed. But the Bengals drafted John Ross at 9, and we saw how that turned out. So if he is available here in the 7th round, I think the Broncos take him. And we're not going to use him as a receiver, but the sole reason we take him here is that we have him as our kick returner. Because Deontay Spencer, we did not bring back. KJ Hamler is coming off an ACL tear, so you want to give him a time to recover, obviously, which he is, but you don't want to put strain on that where he's returning punts every play. I don't know if he's still going to have that explosiveness that he had to him for a little bit while he's still first trying to come back. He'll eventually get that back, but not right away. So adding Tyquan Thornton as the returner, I think, would be brilliant. You want a fast guy there, but not only someone who's fast, who provides an explosiveness when they're running and returning kicks, and I think Tyquan Thornton definitely adds that. He had 143 receptions for 2,242 yards and a 15.7 yard average per play, and he scored 19 touchdowns. So that is mock draft 4.0 after free agency. Let me know what you think. Do we need to fill any holes? I was thinking of taking a running back here with our 6th or 7th round pick. I decided against it because we have Mike Boone for 1 more year, and we can sign an undrafted free agent running back, or we can wait till next year and then take another running back in the 6th round or something to be Javonte Williams' backup. Anyway, that's my mock. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I really like this mock. If I were to rank players that I want, because, I feel like some people want my insight maybe on my scouting that I've done. If I were to rank them, my top 3 would be number 1, obviously Alontae Taylor, number 2, Daniel Faalele, and number 3 out of need. As much as I want to say Mykael Wright, I'm going to have to go with Chigoziem Okonkwo. Those are my top 3 that I think the Broncos should definitely be targeting and going after. Myjai Sanders I like, but I think any edge rusher at that position would work. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.